Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take the sources, you send us articles, notes, all sorts of things, and, well, we dive deep to pull out what really matters.
Exactly.
Today, we're looking at something pretty unique. The Hyundai Staria. Now, based on the material we've gone through, it's clear this isn't just, another people mover.
Not at all. It's positioned quite differently.
Right. It's a really bold design statement. And it makes you ask, can a van essentially become a space for living? Or does that radical design come with, well, trade-offs?
That's the core question, isn't it? Vision versus practicality.
So we're going to dig into whether Hyundai's vision here actually delivers on the practical side, or if it's mostly about, looking incredibly different. Okay, so first impressions. The Staria just completely breaks the mold, doesn't it, compared to the typical boxy shapes we expect?
Absolutely. It's a very conscious departure, almost futuristic.
Yeah, like something out of a science fiction film. It's got this single smooth curve running front to back. And apparently the inspiration was like the halo of light around the Earth at sunrise seen from space.
Quite poetic for a van.
It is, but Hyundai's saying it's meant to be more than transport. It's a space for living, working, traveling, a whole new way. So let's unpack that a bit.
Well, what's interesting, I think, is that claim itself. Calling it a statement and a space for living. It's not just about being different, it's a strategic choice, isn't it?
How so?
Well, it forces you, the potential buyer, to rethink what you even want from a people mover. Maybe you weren't considering one, but this design makes you look twice.
Expanding the market, maybe.
Potentially, but it also risks alienating people who just want pure, straightforward utility, They might see the design as maybe unnecessary. So the big question is, where does it land? Function or form?
Right. Let's get into the specifics. They talk about this inside-out design idea. The inside dictated the outside shape.
Supposedly, yes.
And up front, it definitely makes an impact. You've got that super thin light bar right across the width. That's the daytime running light. Very signature look.
Unmistakable.
Then below that, this huge grille, really intricate pattern, and the actual headlights are way down low.
Which is interesting from a design perspective. Clean look.
Very clean, all body colored. It looks really modern.
Yeah.
And it's big. The numbers we have are, over 5.2 meters long? Nearly 2 meters wide and tall?
Yep. And a long wheelbase, too, over 3.2 meters. That's a substantial vehicle.
Definitely a big presence on the road.
Okay, but that size and some of those design choices, they immediately bring up practical points, like those low headlights.
Yeah.
They look cool, sure, but how effective are they in, say, thick fog or heavy rain? Sometimes higher lights cut through better.
Fair point. I hadn't thought of that.
And the single curve. Beautiful, yes. But does it really maximize the usable space inside? A headroom in the back, cargo volume? Or is it style over substance there?
Right, the age-old design conflict.
And those dimensions. Great for space inside, probably, but what about parking it in the city? Or navigating tight streets? And it sits on big 18-inch wheels, quite fancy diamond patterns. Are they tough enough for, family duty or maybe even light commercial stuff? Or mostly for looks?
Those are definitely the real-world questions, aren't they? Do you think Hyundai is betting that the visual appeal outweighs potential downsides? Or maybe the tech compensates?
Could be a bit of both. Advanced lighting tech might help with the low lamps, for instance. But let's talk about the sides and back. You mentioned openness.
Yes. This is key to their vision. Huge panoramic windows, really low belt lines, the bottom edge of the window, basically.
Right.
It's designed so passengers feel connected to the outside, not boxed in. More like you're in the landscape.
Like a mobile conservatory.
Kind of. The material we looked at even mentions hanok, traditional Korean houses, as inspiration. Blending inside and outside spaces.
Okay, that's a nice story. But does it translate functionally?
Well, visually, it means lots of glass. Around back, you get these really tall vertical taillights. High-end ones have this parametric pixel thing. Looks very digital, very techy.
With little squares of light.
Exactly. And a practical touch, the rear bumper is low. Makes loading stuff easier.
Okay, the low bumper is a definite plus. No argument there. But the huge windows, great for views, but what about privacy? Or the sun beating in, making it hot? Do you need heavy tinting?
Good question. Maybe special glass or integrated blinds on higher trims?
Perhaps. And the hanok inspiration. Is that just marketing speak, or is there something genuinely functional about how the space feels connected beyond just having big windows? It's sometimes hard to tell.
True. Okay, let's move inside then. Because this is where they say that inside-out idea really pays off.
Right, the lounge concept.
It genuinely feels different. The dashboard is low, very clean, minimal clutter. really opens up the view forward.
Less imposing than a typical van dash.
Exactly. You get a nice freestanding digital display for the driver, 10.25 inches. And then in the center, a big touchscreen, 8 or 10.25 inches, depending on the model. Wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, the usual tech expectations.
Standard fare these days, yeah.
But one thing I noticed, the gear selector is buttons. Just buttons below the screen.
Ah, the push-button shifter? Becoming more common?
Yeah, and it frees up loads of space between the front seats, really adds to that open, airy feeling.
It does create space. But playing devil's advocate here, how intuitive are those buttons for everyone? Especially if you're used to a physical lever your whole life. Is it easy to use without looking?
Maybe take some getting used to.
And the big screens, great, but uncluttered can sometimes mean fewer physical buttons for things like climate or volume. Do you end up having to tap through menus more, which can be distracting?
That's a common complaint with many new cars, isn't it? Screen reliance.
It is. And with those huge windows we just talked about, what about screen glare on a sunny day? Can you actually see the displays clearly?
Yeah, reflections could be an issue. But let's talk comfort and flexibility, because that seems to be a major focus.
Okay.
You can get it in all sorts of configurations, like a 2- or 3-seater van for work.
Right, the commercial version.
All the way up to 7, 9, or even 11 seats for carrying people.
11 seats, wow.
Yeah, and the top models, the premium or lounge, they get seriously luxurious. Second row seats can be heated, cooled, power reclining with leg rests, like business class on a plane.
Very nice.
And here's the really cool part. Those second row seats can swivel 180 degrees.
To face the back.
Exactly. So you can create this little mobile meeting room or just a social space for the family facing each other. Imagine kids playing a game back there on a road trip.
Okay, that is a neat party trick.
And apparently there's loads of headroom and legroom. Like kids can actually stand up and move around inside. Plus, wireless charging, USB ports everywhere. Very connected.
It sounds incredibly versatile on paper. But again, the practical questions. Are 11 seats genuinely usable day to day? Or is that just a number for specific, maybe rare occasions?
Like for shuttle services, maybe?
Perhaps. And the swivel seats. Definitely a wow feature. But how often would a typical family actually use them like that versus just needing comfy forward-facing seats for the school run or holidays?
Good point. Is it a gimmick or genuine utility?
It raises that question, doesn't it? Are some of these high-end features more about creating buzz and justifying a premium price rather than offering something you'll use constantly?
It's a balance, I suppose.
Eh.
Okay, let's shift gears to what powers this thing and how safe it is.
Right, the oily bits and the safety tech.
So the main engine choice seems to be a 2.2-liter diesel, turbocharged 4-cylinder, CRDI, common rail direct injection.
Standard modern diesel tech. Pretty efficient, usual.
Yeah, it makes about 177 horsepower, which sounds okay, but the key thing is the torque, 430 newton meters, and it comes in really low down, like 1,500 RPM.
Which is what you want in a big vehicle like this, pulling power.
Exactly. Good for towing, good for carrying lots of people and stuff without feeling strained. There's also a petrol option, a 3.5-liter V6.
Bigger power number there, presumably.
Yeah, 272 horsepower. Quite a jump.
Yeah.
But less torque than the diesel, 338 newton meters.
Interesting trade-off.
You can get a 6-speed manual or an 8-speed automatic. And, especially with the diesel, optional all-wheel drive, which Hyundai calls HTRAC.
Good for slippery conditions or maybe light rough roading.
Yeah, adds a bit of capability.
Yeah.
And the suspension is set up for comfort, McPherson struts front, multi-link rear, standard stuff aimed at a smooth ride.
Okay, so looking at those engines, the diesel's pulling power makes sense. But fuel economy is going to be a big factor for anyone using this daily, right? How does it stack up?
Our sources didn't give exact figures, but diesels are typically pretty good on fuel, especially for cruising.
True. But the V6, 272 horsepower, does a people mover really need that much power, or is that just about appealing to markets where bigger engines are preferred, regardless of actual need?
Maybe a bit of both. Offers choice, caters to different tastes.
It just seems like potential overkill for the main job of hauling families around comfortably and efficiently. But maybe some buyers prioritize that feeling of power.
Could be. Now, safety. This is crucial, obviously. Hyundai fits its SmartSense suite.
The usual collection of driver aids.
Pretty comprehensive, yeah. Forward collision avoidance, blind spot monitoring and avoidance, lane keeping, lane following. All the things we're starting to expect.
Table stakes, almost.
Almost. But there's some really useful ones here. The surround view monitor uses cameras for a 360-degree overhead view, Super helpful for parking something this big.
Definitely useful for tight spots.
And this one I thought was brilliant, especially for families. Safe exit assist.
What's that do?
It stops the power sliding rear doors from opening if it detects a car or cyclist coming up from behind.
Oh, wow. Okay, that is clever. Prevents kids opening the door into traffic.
Exactly. A really thoughtful piece of tech that addresses a specific risk.
Agreed, that's a standout. But looking at the whole SmartSense package, while it's all good stuff, how much of it is truly innovative for this type of vehicle versus just meeting current safety standards?
You mean, is it significantly safer than rivals?
Or is it more about ticking the boxes? Safe Exit Assist is genuinely smart, shows real-world thinking, but with all these systems, you also have to wonder, are we getting too reliant on them? Does it make drivers less attentive sometimes?
The automation complacency argument, it's a valid concern across the industry, isn't it?
It is. It's a fine line between helpful assistance and encouraging over-reliance.
Absolutely. And hey, if you're finding this deep dive interesting, maybe take a moment to like this video, drop a comment with your own thoughts on the Staria, and definitely subscribe for more discussions like this.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
So, wrapping things up here, the Hyundai Staria, it's undeniably bold, audacious even. It really does try to rethink the whole people mover concept.
No question it makes a statement.
It's this mix of, futuristic looks, that lounge-like interior, lots of tech. It feels like Hyundai's really pushing the envelope here, trying to offer something beyond just pure utility.
It absolutely pushes boundaries. It gives you a glimpse of what this kind of vehicle could be, more than just a box on wheels.
Right.
But this brings us to a final thought, really, for you listening. We live in a time where unique design and tons of features are highly valued, but where's the line? When does innovation genuinely make your daily life better? And when is it maybe more about making a style statement? Does a vehicle like the Staria actually redefine the whole segment? Will others follow this path? Or does it just create a really interesting, maybe luxurious niche for people who want something truly different and are willing to embrace its unconventional approach? What do you think?